Hey, welcome back, sports fans, to another edition of Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF. I'm your host, Jonah. With me, as always, is RPF. We have a great show for us today. We have a recap of a fantastic Thursday Thanksgiving football lineup, a look ahead as we get into December in the NFL, and what I'm actually weirdly most excited about is World Cup soccer. We'll get into all that. You can find us everywhere you listen to your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Podbean, all the good ones. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter, and of course our dedicated YouTube channel. Just search Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF. RPF, my friend, it has been a hectic sports week. Other than that, how you doing?
I'm excited. It's December. Opening happy December. This is when sports gets real, in a sense. For sure, the NFL gets real. And I was thinking back how the whole country, or at least the whole country, meaning my 5,000 friends on Facebook, they literally have been so excited about the Team USA and the World Cup. It reminds me a little bit like of the Olympics every 4 years when we're like riveted by double barrel, upside down, slalom skiing, which we never even knew that was a sport, and yet we're like crying because the person fell once and got a silver instead of a gold. I mean, this is so American of us, right? We're like, whatever has an American flag on it, we're gonna go all in for it. So I'm hoping this is the tournament that changes, at least perception-wise, what the fan base could really, what soccer could really be for this country. So anyway, I'm excited to talk to you about a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, same. I think the one thing I'll argue, World Cup versus Olympics is that, I think in this instance we're behind the world, right? Like the world is already World Cup, they're like, this is the greatest thing that ever existed. Like,
it's like cricket in India and curling in Canada.
Yeah, so and to be quite, and again we're gonna get into this, but to be quite frank, I was like, I want to go in, I want to go all in. I want to be a soccer fan. So I did. I was like, hey, let's put together some watch parties. And I'm telling you right now, I am invested.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's been great.
Those last 5 minutes of the Iran game almost put me in the hospital. So I can't even think about it. That header, I was like, oh my God. I was like,
yeah.
Anyway.
All right. So, hey, let's do this. Because I'm so gassed up, I got my USA sweatshirt on because I'm so gassed up.
Miami Dolphins.
Oh, I do have this on the side because we're gonna get into that too. But I'm so gassed up on soccer. Let's get outside of our comfort zone and put football aside for a second, and let's just go into the soccer. Let's go.
You mean American football aside?
Oh boy,
we always lead with football. In this case, it's global football. It's soccer.
Okay, so perfect. We're still leading with football.
Correct, but just football. Exactly.
Right. So.
So much to say. So many thoughts. Tell me.
There is. The U.S. has advanced, and it was an awesome, thrilling game. I guess we kind of need to go all the way back. I forget when our last episode, wherever all the games played out, but I don't think we had played England yet, right?
Right.
Since our last episode.
Correct.
So let's go back to that. We had that.
Well, let's go back for 1 second for the 6 people who don't understand what's happening. There's 2 rounds to every World Cup, which happens every 4 years. 32 teams. Essentially, they're broken up into groups of 4 teams, countries, and then you play a round robin. You play the other 3 countries, and the teams that have the 2 best records move on to the knockout round. Essentially, you play at least 3 games or 3 matches, and then the top 2 teams advance. So moving forward from that round robin round, it really is kind of like a baseline goal for the Team USA, because in fact we haven't even qualified for the World Cup last time, and before that we didn't get out of the round robin. So now, for the first time in a good while, we've actually advanced. But how we advanced was actually thrilling / underwhelming, because in fact the first match we played was against Wales, which was a pretty even match, but in fact we played to a 1-1 draw, and we outplayed them for the 90 minutes of the match. We outplayed them for 84 of them, we had so many opportunities which we didn't take advantage of, but thank God we at least got the draw. The draw gets us 2 points, not the 4 you get for a win. So then you count out the points.
I think it's 3-1.
Is it 3-1?
3-1.
Oh, that's true. Sorry. You're right. Okay. Anyway, then the next round, which we're talking about now, is England, which is one of the top 10 traditional powerhouses of global soccer. These are like Spain and Argentina and Chile and Germany and France, and these teams are just behemoth as far as power. It's like saying the Yankees we're playing the Yankees from the 80s in baseball.
Right.
Anyway, so and we beat the shit out of them, and we still got
very
a
well.
draw.
Yeah, we played them. We played them very
the first
well.
half of the first half of the England match was the best half of American soccer I've seen in my lifetime. Everything was executing. The balls were crisp. The passes were great. They were just over. They were so pumped. They were so amped up that they kept overshooting the goal. And remember the one shot that hit the top of the crossbar.
Oh.
That was like, I know. That was for everything right there. But we were in good stead in that match. Then we had to, and all of a sudden we're like in third place of 4. And meanwhile, Iran shocks the world by beating, was it England, right? No, Wales.
No, they beat Wales.
They beat Wales, but still, Iran was not meant to win anything. So
Right.
if Wales had beaten Iran, we were essentially out of it. So somehow we got lucky, and all we had to do is we win and we're in to the rounds. We had to beat Iran. Now, mind you, besides the actual soccer match, the political swirl around Iran and USA, it's been building from even before the World Cup.
Sure.
So did you see the press conference about the team captain was chided by the reporter from Iran?
And I was blown away at how well such a young person handled that. I was like, because when the guy asked it, I was like, oh my God. I was like, what?
I'm thinking,
what an obnoxious question.
I'm thinking, is this Iran's Fox News? What is happening? No, but it was such a baited question. Like, you speak of learning from each culture, and here you are mispronouncing our country's name. It's not Iran, it's Iran. And he goes, well, exactly. This is another moment that I'm learning. And he was just so eloquent and so great.
Good. Yeah.
A 24-year-old or something. He was amazing. So I'm very, very impressed with him. And anyway, so the point is that all this stuff going on the sides and the whole protest with, the horrible treatment, the horrible, disgusting treatment that was happening in Iran with the women. This game was it felt like Miracle on Ice, but
it did.
Miracle, it felt like this was in reverse in a way, because we had to win and we were favored to win, but we won, and we barely won. But it was enough for us to be okay. Let's exhale. We escaped somehow this round robin round. Now we're going to the big boy category. So I have a lot to say about that. But go ahead and tell me your thoughts about the whole thing. I just said.
No, my thoughts are just like it's been like I've said in the past is I want soccer to be big. I watch, you watch these highlights and these clips of like cities and towns over in England and Europe, and when they have these huge soccer matches, and I'm like, I want to be a part of that. Like, they're just rabid, right? And so I was, like I said, I went all in on this. And so Saturday, so the England game, we put together a group,
a Tina Scone party.
We put together a group, and we were like, hey, let's go out to the bars, let's watch it, we'll get all dressed up. I wore this sweatshirt. I had red.
What bar did you go to? Which bar did you go to?
Well, hang on, this is part of the story. So I had my this USA sweatshirt on. I had red, white, and blue Zubaz pants on. Just because I know that you're banned from most bars anyway, so I'm just wondering which bar allowed you to go in costume. So we go out to watch the game in downtown in Saratoga here, and it took us like 5 bars because they were packed, and I was like, wow. Yes, I was like, yes, this is what I wanted. Like,
and this was was it Thursday? No,
this was it was weekend. I think it was Saturday.
Oh well, no, it was Sunday. No, it was Saturday at 5 Saturday. Or something or 4.
Yeah. I think it was a Saturday. But I was just pumped because I was like, this is exactly what I've wanted this to be. And then the game, one of the guys in the group was an ex-college soccer player, so he can kind of help dissect.
He goes, what's offsides?
I got a fair grasp of what that is, but it was.
I know, hockey basically it's the same thing.
But I got a decent grasp of everything that's going on. But it was just awesome. And then to watch the game was phenomenal. Like you said, they played well. We got the draw. Like going in, like, you know, we're all talking before the game, like, hey, what do we expect? And we're all kind of like, England's probably going to win. Like we're talking about what's this?
I thought 2-2, and we win in penalty kicks. That's what I thought we were going to do.
Well, there are no penalty kicks in the first round, Richard.
I know. That's why. Then I realized that's why I'm going to talk about that too. Because my prediction was bogus from it's like, again, you know. Anyway,
but yeah, so you know, we're all, but pregame we're talking like, you know, like okay, so what does it look like going forward if we lose? Like, can we still get in? We were like premeditating that we're going to lose, right? And we hold them off. We get the draw, and it's kind of like, oh my gosh, okay. And then the last game, because it was at 2:00 on Tuesday, and everyone had to work, so we all made a pact not to stay off social, to stay off everything, and we watched the replay in a backyard. We made a fire, ordered pizza, watched the replay.
I couldn't. I mean, I have 15 machines that tell me everything's going on at all times. I mean, there's no way. I mean, breaking news and I have. You know, I call Trixie because if I say her name, she pops up. You know, right. And then I have the phone version of that, and then that pops up. It's like everything's like crazy. Anyway,
but yeah, and the game was awesome. The one thing I will say, you know, I think I'm trying not to be I'm trying to be as real as I can with this team. Right, we're extremely young, and you know, it's hard not to get caught up in the momentum of everything, and the excitement, and be like, oh my gosh, like, you know, like we're gonna win, and it's like, well, hang on.
I take it a different way.
Hang on. So here's my optimism that I hold. Okay, my optimism is that I feel like this team is doing this right. I feel like they're trending in the right direction. I feel like that first game, though it was a draw, was kind of a loss. Right, we were winning. We were controlled the entire game. Then there's this stupid penalty with like 4 minutes left. And they got a penalty shot to tie the game up. Yeah. To tie the game up.
Although he did come back, he did redeem himself by saving the day when the ball got past our goalkeeper in the Iran game, and he knocked it out.
Oh, that was him. That was the same guy. I saw that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the blonde man bun. I mean, how many people are, you know?
A lot.
A lot. Well,
on the soccer field, there's a lot. But so then. Going forward, so then we played England, and it's like we didn't win, but we drew
won.
against a behemoth, like you mentioned. Like, and so it's like, you know, we had this kind of like letdown. We had a draw, but it was a letdown in the first game, and then the second game was a draw, but it was kind of a win, right? And my point is that like, because the team is so young, I feel like their momentum could be like, they could be starting to say, we can actually do something.
Why not us?
Yeah. Why not us?
Yeah. So I think that's exactly right. I think being young is an attribute in this case. If you're in your late 20s, early 30s, you know where you should, where you slot in. You know, and all of a sudden, if you're overshooting for a game, it's hard to keep that up if you're not A group. If you're 23, of course, you know everything. You're better than anyone else that's ever lived. So therefore, you're gonna just imagine that you like give yourself up, give yourself this pep talk, like, yeah. Messi, who cares? Ronaldo, I laugh. You know, just do your. I think there's enough of that American hubris, you know, of kind of like, you know, their cowboy innocence of not understanding the rules of global soccer, that you're not supposed to beat England or think of people like this. So in that sense, I want to tell you about our next opponent, which, by the way, it's when it really counts now. One loss and you're out, you know, and that's going to
there's no more draws.
Right, we're playing another powerhouse European team, the Netherlands, and I have an anecdote I think that you might like about this.
Okay. Now we should preface by saying, for anyone that is unfamiliar with
the Netherlands is also Dutch, it's also Holland. Confuses everybody.
The men's side of U.S. soccer, by the way, the women are unbelievable.
We are the behemoth in the women's side.
Yeah. So I think in a way kind of makes this more exciting for the men, because it's kind of like we're not supposed to be doing this, but but anyway, we should preface everyone and fill everyone in and say that the farthest we've ever gone is, I think, 1 win in this next round.
I think 2.
I think 1. I don't think we've ever gotten to the Final Four.
Oh, the Final Four wouldn't be the Final Four yet. It'd be
if you win the next game, you go to the
you're in the quarter, right?
And then if you won 2, there'd only be 4 left. I don't think we've ever won 2.
That's a semifinal. Oh, okay. No, we've never been in the semifinals. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. So here's why I think it's I think it's possible that we can beat the Netherlands.
Fill me,
Okay,
fill me in, because
the Netherlands is well. First of all, the current team for the Netherlands, which, by the way, as I mentioned, for those who don't know geography, I'm sure many of our millions of fans don't know where Holland is. In fact, it is in the same place as the Netherlands. It's the same country, and people from that country are referred to as Dutch to further confuse everybody. So anyway, yes, land of the wooden clogs and marijuana. You may have heard of that. Anyway, but the Netherlands, I actually, back in the day, back before you were born, in 1998, I went to Amsterdam because I had at the time I owned a magazine company when I was editor of 13 different magazines, including one I love called Tennis Match. And for Tennis Match, they gave me complete access to Pat Rafter, was the Australian tennis champion who won the U.S. Open the year before, and he was gearing up. He's playing this tournament in Holland, in the Netherlands, before Wimbledon, because he was wanting to repeat as U.S. Open champion, which he actually did later that summer. But anyway, so I got to follow him around from London, from Eastbourne to Wimbledon to the Netherlands, and so anyway, so I was doing this huge story on him. But meanwhile, I'm staying in Amsterdam, and the tournament was 3 hours away. So I had to take a train every day from Amsterdam.
Wow.
Like, imagine being based in Vegas and the tournament's in LA. It's like you have to take this 3-hour train ride. Meanwhile, it's in Dutch. So I had literally no idea what people are saying to me. And I'm just sitting there remembering which stop I have to get off, and the field of tulips and all the windmills. And it's truly true. It's like a crazy postcard every time you drive. Anyway, so of course Pat Rafter is winning every round. I'm going every day. On the semifinals, when he was about to play in the same, it was Saturday afternoon. Oh, this is 1998. This is the World Cup was happening in 1998. I wasn't following the World Cup back then, and I was like, whatever. I'm American. Tennis and football and baseball are my thing, and basketball and everything. Anyway, so this country is crazy for soccer, like everyone else in the world. So I get there to the match on Saturday morning, and he wins quickly. He wins really fast, and he says to me, in his Aussie accent, "Where are you watching the match?" I go, "What match?" He goes, "The Netherlands are playing the World Cup." Are you kidding? They're playing in the quarterfinals. It's like I'm like, really? He's like, "Did you not see everyone?" And I literally, for some reason, I looked up finally, and I noticed every single person, pets included, was wearing orange. Everyone. Like vibrant orange. That's the color of their country. That's the color of the sport of their. I mean, I don't know how I did not notice this. Everything, everywhere I looked was orange. On the train, everybody was orange. The conductors, not in uniform, wearing orange. Everyone wearing orange. It literally, I was like, and I'm wearing purple and green. I don't know. I was wearing go Bulgaria. I have no idea. Anyway, and meanwhile, they're playing France or something. Huge match. It was like, oh my God. The entire city. So I got to the train station back in Amsterdam an hour before the match. And there was nobody, and I'm talking, Jonah, this is a major city in the world, 0 people at the train station. I'm like, it was like the rapture, and they left me behind. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be stuck in Amsterdam my entire life. Anyway, literally nothing was open except these bars that were spilling over, whatever. And it was anyway, so of course, so they said that one guy who was my friend who was helping me navigate this country while I was there, who's an American, an expat living in Amsterdam, says to me, "You better order all the food now and stuff, because you're not gonna. If they lose, this will be a national mourning for 3 days. There'll be no restaurants. There'll be no food. There'll be no bars. There'll be nothing. People will be." Sure enough, they lost 2-1. So thank God he told me this, because I literally hoarded all this stuff. People were like, anyway. So I'm telling you, the Netherlands is. I've never seen a country like this. I mean, it was just screaming in Dutch, which, by the way, they sound like they're screaming anyways when they speak to me. But it was just really, 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 really confusing. Intense. So this version of the Netherlands, I think it's containable for us, for Team USA, because I do believe that they're led by one star player. If we can shut that guy down, he's a forward, I believe. I can't pronounce his name, but he's literally. If we can contain this guy, apparently he scored all the goals for their country. So I think that's more manageable than having like a whole like Brazil when the entire team can score from anywhere, right? So
Right.
I just think it's possible for us to be able to to win.
Okay.
That's my idea.
Yeah, man, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. The game is at Saturday at 9 a.m.
Well, I keep saying 8 or 10. Is it 9 now?
No,
No.
hang on. I can double check us for a second here. Let me go. Round of 16. Coverage at 9. Got it. Coverage at 9.
Okay.
Game at 10.
Got it. Okay, good. Yeah, it's kind of just kind of crazy and exciting because because if we win that match, oh my gosh, then we're in the rarefied air of like, oh my gosh, of Germany's and Brazil and Argentina and Spain and all these type of countries. So
Yeah, absolutely. And then as I think we've mentioned in a previous episode, and then if that were to happen, okay, then the look ahead to the next World Cup, we are so young that we're basically going to take this exact same team and just put on 4 years of experience and then supplant them into the next
Imagine
World
this
Cup.
team with 4 more years of experience playing at SoFi Stadium in LA because that's going to. I'm saying or SoFi Stadium. It's going to. We're going to host. I think it's 70% in the US and 30% in Canada and Mexico. So kind of like a North America type of World Cup.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's going to be very, very, very interesting to me.
Yeah.
So, and Qatar hasn't killed anyone as far as I know, for just walking around the streets. Yeah,
as far as we know.
As far as because that's exactly right. Exactly right. All right. Have we done enough? Well, not. Let's get to the NFL.
Yes. Yeah. No, we've done great. Tune in Saturday. If you haven't been tune in Saturday, 10 a.m.
I have one more thing to say. Sorry.
Okay. I see.
How about sucks?
It's contagious.
It is contagious, right? It is contagious. 2 more things to say, actually. First of all, if you haven't seen it yet, there's an hour-long interview with the repulsive what's his name from England, Piers, whatever his name is. Morgan, is that his name?
I don't know.
Anyway, Piers Morgan. I think
you just said that repulsive guy from England. Like I was like I was supposed to know.
The newscaster.
You know.
He's like buddies with the Orange Menace, and he's like the newscaster. Like he was fired from CNN, and anyway, he does an interview show in England, and Cristiano Ronaldo was there for a full hour, kind of like right before he was like put it this way, after the interview, within minutes he was no longer part of Manchester United. he was literally unceremoniously like.
Oh, okay, I've heard about
mutually
this.
agreed. Yeah. So anyway, but the interview is fascinating because Ronaldo and all these athletes that are goats that era, it's interesting how they view the world. It's so interesting to me. Even from the most humble beginnings, once you're in that space for decades. It's hard to look through the fog down, so it's interesting to me. Anyway, so Ronaldo is allegedly just signed or signing today a 260 million pound or euro deal to play in Saudi Arabia. So giddy up.
Now hang on. I think you should clarify that's 200 or whatever the value is a year.
Per year. They're making it the most wealthiest contract in the history of sports. Sorry, I wasn't clear. 260 million pounds, it's basically $300 million a year. Which is essentially just a little less than $1 million a day. They play like 12 matches a year.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's
unbelievable.
Great.
Yeah. It's hashtag life goals, right? That's what. Okay. Although the flip side, you're working, getting paid by the Saudi government, and you think Qatar's bad. Hold my beer. Here are the Saudis. I mean, 2 words for you: 9 and 11. Keep in touch. All right. So here we go. So then we have, not to be outdone, the other goat in soccer. For those who are the uninitiated, are the 2 goats. A bit like in tennis, it's Nadal and Federer and Djokovic. The 2 goats, indisputably. There's 3 of them really, but there's 2 of them that are the big headline makers for the longest time. Like Nadal and Federer in tennis would be Lionel Messi from Argentina, and Cristiano Ronaldo from Portugal. Mm-hmm. So Cristiano it's the pretty boy. He gets all the girls. He's been the guy, the fantastical one. And Messi's like more like the shorter guy with more like a grinder, more of a workhorse, more like but he does, routinely he scores a hat trick in soccer, which is almost impossible. Which is you yourself are scoring 3 goals per in a match.
So real quick, admittedly, I'm not a huge soccer fan, so I've never watched any of these players before. And I watched the Argentina game yesterday, and I was like, I mean, it's like, oh, that guy is better than everyone else. Like, you got the ball, and you just like,
it's so obvious. Ronaldo's the same way. Ronaldo's the same way. I mean, when you watch Ronaldo, he's like a gazelle in a sea of like deer. You know what I'm saying? He's like just like gliding around. Messi is just he's playing chess. Everyone's playing checkers. He's amazing. And his skill set. Yeah. He's cool. And he's also like they're both great assets with the sport, and they're kind of whatever. So it's very much similar to me in my mind to Rafa and Federer. Anyway, Messi is allegedly his contract expires for paltry 105 million or something a year. So he's all depressed because he's basically on food stamps. So he's now about to sign. He's convinced from David Beckham, who owns, by the way, David Beckham. You may have heard of him.
Sure. Yep.
He co-owns the team in Miami, who plays for MSL, for the Major League Soccer.
Okay.
So if Messi, who's Argentinian, goes to Miami for 150 million or whatever it's going to be in Miami, which is basically the capital of Latin America, Argentina will the entire continent will move to Miami, which is basically giving the politicians there a lot of.
That's MLS Miami. Is that MLS Major League Soccer?
It's the Miami. It's Interclub Miami, or I forgot the name of it. It's actually, but it's the Miami franchise for the MLS. Anyway, and Messi would be clearly, and I don't know if you remember this at all, but when the league first launched in 1980 something, the first signed
a little bit after that, wasn't it?
Or whatever it was. It was like whatever it was. The New York franchise signed Pele from Brazil, which is arguably top 1 or 2 players of all time, like Babe Ruth. Right. So he literally played in New York when he was like 45 or something. He barely could walk. Yeah. But he was here. He played in New York. I was like, I was there at the stadium watching Pele playing live. I can always say this to my kids, to my 2 cats. They're thrilled by it. Anyway, the point is that's a big deal. So if Ronaldo and Messi are still cranking out. I mean, you think LeBron makes money? Yeah. This is serious money. Okay. The last thing I'll say is that I touched upon it because I'm an idiot / genius. When I was betting in my mind the 2-2 draw for England and we would win in penalty kicks, it makes no sense. In the round robin phase, you just play to a tie if that's how it is, and you get a reduced point count. That is so unsatisfying for all the way around. It's like playing tennis and having no tiebreaker at the end and just playing on till whenever. No, we have to have a system. And it's telling because in the knockout round, if it's a draw, then you go to a 30-minute overtime period. If that's still tied. And by the way, you score 1, you still have the time clock to try to tie it again. So, but if it's tied at the end of the overtime period, then you go into penalty kicks. What's more exciting, aka American, than sudden death, moments like that? That is the most exciting moments in sports. I mean, think about it. To me, it's like having like the Kentucky Derby over and over again. like this, like the cat and mouse of the goalkeeper going left and the kick going right. That's how it should be in every game at the World Cup, in my opinion. Do you agree with that?
I agree with the excitement of it is like through the roof. The unfortunate part about it is that I think in soccer, and I'll equate it to like penalty shots in hockey. In soccer, it's a guessing game. The goalie just says, I think he's going to shoot it this way, and I'm going to jump that way.
But that's okay.
But meaning there is no skill involved.
Well,
so hockey,
there's a mental thing going on.
A penalty shot in hockey, right? The goalie's reading, he's reading the player, and he can read the deke. And
he's also wearing twice the size of his body weight in armor and padding and stuff, so he can
take the padding off. You can still read him. So in soccer, it's just and this is why that penalty shot against when we played Wales and the guy got the penalty shot. I was like, oh well, that sucks because like it's essentially a goal. Like it.
But
I
go
don't know what
throughout
the stat
history.
is. I would like to know the percentage.
But go throughout history. There's a lot of countries that lose that don't score 3 of the 6 kicks or 5 kicks. They choke. It's a lot. Think about the whole country when you're going back to like Guatemala and you're going to beat Germany and you're Pepe Suarez and you're going to go back to Guatemala, either the biggest hero in the history of this country or the biggest goat or the biggest like scapegoat or the guy who fucked it up for. That's to me that's psychologically great. The goalkeeper, yeah, he's guessing, but it to me is about who's kicking the ball. I mean, I remember one kick.
I'll take that. Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. So there's so many. If you go on YouTube and say greatest penalty kicks ever, it's just you sit there like one guy hit a chip shot over the goaltender, but he had so much backspin, he never went in the goal. He was celebrating, and he never crossed into the goal. Anyway.
I've seen one. I've seen one on like Instagram or something that I've always questioned if it was real or not. Where the guy hit a rocket and it hit the crossbar and went up, and the goalie ran out of the goal because he thought they won,
and it came back in,
and it bounced, and because of the backspin off the crossbar.
No, that happened. I saw that too. That happened. That's like number one.
Don't get me wrong. Like I said, the excitement levels through the roof. I just feel bad because it's like
it's a fan sport. It should be enough.
Well,
and by the way, ultimately, it's more satisfying. You make more heroes and goats.
All sports are for the fans, technically.
No, I'm saying, but there's more heroes and there are more high and lows and of defeat and agony and all that stuff. It's better. It's a better way to do it than having who's happy with a draw. I mean, it's like getting a handy and not I mean, like when you clap.
Yeah, that's exactly what you meant, isn't it?
You have to commit. You have to.
And so last Thanksgiving, there was some great American football lineup games going on.
Back to football. Yes. Okay. You know what I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Now you're putting words in my mouth, huh? Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I'm just saying, no one wants a Henry when you can get some real satisfaction. All right. Go ahead.
Okay. Moving on to American football.
Thanksgiving. We called it. The best games were actually on Thanksgiving.
The Thanksgiving lineup was, as we mentioned, going into the weekend was what to look forward to, and they did not let us down. The games were fantastic
until the fourth quarter, until the end of the fourth quarter, until the very end when the games didn't go our way usually.
But it kicked off with the Bills. The Bills-Lions game was, I
thought that game would be competitive, and it was, my God, it was more than that.
More than competitive, right? It came down to Lions. What was it? Lions took the lead with 23 seconds left, I think.
Yeah.
Something like
that. Of course. Josh Allen's like, hold my beer.
Right, right. But they're like, that's what makes it,
That's Mahomes and Allen, just like, this is what separates them from,
right. And that's just what makes it like what you want to see on Thanksgiving. Like, oh, I want to sit down and I want to see Josh Allen just,
I wonder how many times you this season alone, you can cut to, or even the past 2 years, you can cut to like the sideline with less than 30 seconds left and people are cheering because they won the game. Meanwhile, it's people go, okay, let me take a shot at this.
Been a lot, and then obviously the Giants, Cowboys. The Cowboys, I mean, they looked fairly abysmal in the first half of that game.
Yeah, it was the old Cowboys.
Yeah, and the storyline of that game was just like did a 180. Like for the first half, it was like, oh, Cowboys aren't what we thought they were, and like this and that. The Giants, and then the second half was like, oh my God, the Cowboys are exactly what we thought they were.
Every single one of these games, the star players remembered who they were in the second half. Like, oh yeah, sorry, we have to win this game.
Star player maybe. Star player maybe. So, and then you got the last game. You got the Patriots and the Vikings.
How did you survive that one?
Which absolutely ripped my heart out.
Yeah.
Because here we are. I know that going forward for the rest of the season, if we want to even make the playoffs, we cannot make mistakes. We need to beat teams almost borderline flawlessly, right? And you said star players. I'm thinking of star units in the game. The one unit that let us down, the biggest, special teams.
Yeah.
And here we are, we're hanging in. Like, I knew it was going to be a dogfight. I knew the Vikings were going to put up points. Like, they have a good offense. And we have
but you also grabbed them right when they were at their lowest point of the season, when they just got blown out by Dallas.
Right. So we had a pretty good opportunity. And so we go into halftime tied up. I mean, we're going back and forth during the first half, and we happened to, I think we tied it up late going in. So I was like, okay, all right.
I was thinking that you enjoyed Thanksgiving up until 8:30.
So we come out for the second half, and it's essentially it's a one half game. It's 16-16, 0-0. You got one half to play, and we come out and we score a touchdown. And I'm like, oh my gosh!
Do we dare? Yeah, pray. Yeah.
And then what happens on the ensuing kickoff? 97-yard kickoff return to keep it a tie game. And as soon as that happened, I went,
You knew. Yeah. Well, listen, the Ravens game, the Dolphins got so far behind them. The opening kickoff, the opening 106 yards. I went like this. Oh, that's the Dolphins. Okay, that's the Dolphins, not the Dolphins that just beat the Bills. So, here we are. Here's the Dolphins. Yeah.
But it was just
that's brutal to watch though.
But like I said, like as a true fan, like I understand that like our defense and our offense has always fluctuated. Like early Tom Brady, it was defense, right? And Tom Brady wasn't that great, so our offense wasn't that great, but our defense just got us everywhere. And then it flip flopped. And in 2007, we got Randy Moss, and we just. And then
the whole Randy Moss. I mean, we can argument, but Brady became Brady with a capital B when Moss got the job.
And so then it became an offense, right? The one thing that stayed constant the entire time was our special teams.
Yeah,
this year,
you got every Pro Bowl. It was always the Patriots guy that was on the special teams. It was the guy who you would tackle first from the punts and kickoff.
Yeah,
you would
Slater, Matthew Slater. Matthew Slater. Will he be?
Vinatieri was steady as a rock, for years. As a kicker.
So it was just it was a gut punch to see the special teams let you down like that.
So I thought about it that after Thanksgiving, of course, we talked about the Sunday games were so on paper so awful, and just like seemingly uninteresting on paper. Yeah, but I'll tell you the one match, the one game I thought for sure, of course, the Dolphins were hosting the Texans.
Yep,
and even we went up 30-0 at halftime. 30-0. Okay, so my muscle memory is so my PTSD is so severe. I almost texted you. I almost sent you a text, Jonah, and said, "Why do I still feel uneasy that the game's not put away yet?" And sure enough, they made it kind of interesting in the second half.
Yeah, sure.
Because Tua was, by the way, Tua in that game through a half, apples to apples, Herbert, Mahomes, and Allen all played the Texans this year. All of them for the full game had lower numbers than Tua did through a half. By the way, Tua's back since his concussion. He's had 13 touchdowns and no picks. Since I'm just saying that this is a pretty good approach here. But tell me about the game. The one game I did watch the entire fourth quarter and into overtime, as it turned out, was the Jags shocking the Ravens.
That wasn't overtime.
Was that overtime, or was that just in fourth quarter?
I think that was just fourth quarter. I'm checking just to make sure that that was just fourth.
Oh, they went for two. That's correct.
So the Jags and the Chargers both won on last minute 2-point conversions.
Exactly, but the Jags was so crazy because in that last drive, the Jags were just it was I keep forgetting the Brett girl's name. The quarterback.
That works.
The Brett girl. Okay. The Brett girl quarterback with a hair. The number one pick. Anyway, it was the last drive of the fourth quarter because of course the Ravens came back and put it, had it. They were up by 7 by touchdown. So he had 1:35 left to do the drive, right? The drive that Mahomes does in his sleep and Josh Allen does. So all of a sudden this guy, the Brett girl, has first 2 downs, he's like he throws the ball away the first down, and then second down he gets sacked. I'm thinking one thing you cannot do is get sacked when you're trying to score a touchdown with a minute left. Of course, I mean, duh. So so my narrative was already written in my head that this guy is, the Jags will never win with this guy because he doesn't have the it factor, the star factor.
Yeah.
So sure enough, third down, he throws this pass that it was 40 yards downfield, and it was, I mean, I don't know who it was that caught it, but it was just, its catch was just like, ballet, and the sidelines, the two toes are, barely an inch in. It was like just crazy. I was like, wow, he's pretty good, the quarterback. So, so I said, I wonder who's been talking shit about him. He has great hair. Anyway, so then he just gets down, and then it gets scary, right? And it's like 42 seconds left, and then they're at the 11, and then all of a sudden, anyway. So when they scored the touchdown and they're a point down, and they're like, they're about 4-7 or something. I mean, the record. I mean, and the coach was like, their coach was the former coach of, I guess, the Eagles, or was that the Chargers coach? Anyway, it's one of these coaches
Eagles.
that would the Eagles, right?
Eagles, yeah.
Would always, but this coach always was the number 2 coach that always went for 2-point plays. So all of a sudden, they're at home, they're playing the Ravens. He's right. The odds are, if it's even, the Ravens are going to win. If Lamar gets the ball again, it's over. Yeah. So you know what? And they did it. And he threw a pass that wasn't easy to catch. It was like, I don't know if you saw it, the 2-point play, but it was like he rolled out to the right and he did a, but it was like a down and low out. So no one else can catch it, but the guy had to catch it. And anyway, I was like, what? That could help both of us, the Patriots and the Dolphins, if the Ravens are like this team that hangs around, the 10-11 victory mark. So anyway, so I was like, wow. Go Jags. I was like, and then all of a sudden the Chargers pulled the same stunt.
The Chargers did it.
Anyway, so that was very interesting. So I was bad-mouthing these games because on paper they did not look good, but sure enough.
Yeah, no, on paper they looked terrible. The other two that I had on there were I have it in my notes as the WTF Bucks. Who lost in overtime to the Browns, and I'm just like, oh my god.
All right. I saw that game too. I couldn't believe that either. It was like, oh my god.
And it's
the Browns.
Before
the Sean.
You can't help but feel like this. Like, I don't want this to be how Tom Brady goes out. Like,
well, historically speaking, this is how quarterbacks do go out.
But
Joe Namath with the Rams.
I know. But I'm going to take into consideration like the whole narrative that's behind him, like the divorce and everything, and like it's just everything. You watch him and you're just like, you just can't, like, at least maybe it's just me, I don't know, but like you just feel so bad. You're like the guy must be going through so much shit, and it's like,
I want to see his phone. I want to see his phone to see his apps to see what exactly he's activating on Saturday night. Who's at his house? Trixie or
yeah, it's just Anyway, I have it noted as the WTF Bucks. And then the other one I had of note, which I if you go back to previous episodes, you know that I'm not that high on Zach Wilson with the Jets, and he gets benched. Oh, and in comes Mike White, and he just goes, "This really isn't that hard, Zach. Watch."
Mike White became like Boomer Esiason all of a sudden.
He was like 22 for 28 with like 315 yards and 3 touchdowns.
He started slinging.
Yeah. It was. I mean, like mic drop. Like.
Meanwhile, did you see? Oh, what a bad week for Zach Wilson. He had to go around. He went to each defensive player and apologized in person. Can you imagine? First of all, imagine being like the backup cornerback who you've never spoken to Zach Wilson ever, and all of a sudden he's like, "Hi, hi, Lamar. Listen, I'm very sorry if I hurt your feelings. Like, get the fuck out of here.
My parents want me to apologize.
Exactly. Through the window. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Zach, come here, Zach.
Exactly.
You need to apologize.
To Mr. Johnson for taking the candy bar. Yeah.
It's 100%.
It's mortifying. And then he did it again in a team meeting. Oh my God. It's just, I can't. He's a quarterback. I'm sorry. They've neutered him. He neutered himself, but he cannot lead this team. He cannot. No. He cannot. Who's going to look at him and say, "Oh, there's the guy I'm going to crack my ribs for"?
Yeah.
No. Anyway, enough of the Jets already.
Enough of the Jets. And then the other excitement was the Raiders with their overtime win, the 86-yard touchdown run in overtime.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah,
that was crazy. So the week was the Thanksgiving slate was as predicted. It was fantastic. And then you know what? the other games that we thought were going to be pretty lackluster. Now, granted, a lot of these games didn't mean much, but they were exciting to watch for sure.
No, to their accountants and to their wives.
But as we know, RPF, the NFL really starts. Today is December 1st, and the
Football gets serious.
NFL really starts in December, and
it starts tonight.
And we kick it off tonight.
We're recording
Patriots
on a Thursday. We're playing is the Bills at the Pats, and that's going to be that's big boy stuff here.
This is big boy stuff.
New England.
And what I'm saying is that you need to hear me correctly. I'm not saying that the Patriots will win. I'm saying they have to win.
That's a good one, because when teams are pushed, it really will determine the entire year for the Patriots. I mean, if this is going to be, because this conference, this division is too tough.
We're sitting at 6-5, I think.
And the advantage you have to have, because to your point, if the Bills lose another division game, because they've lost to the Jets and they've lost to the Dolphins already, so they lose to the Patriots, all of a sudden, all of the other teams in the division have beaten the Bills. So in any tiebreaker situation, that's the first tiebreaker. Can you imagine like the Jets getting in before the Bills or something? That would be crazy, right?
That would be.
But I mean, it starts tonight with the Patriots. I mean, I'm excited about it. I'm actually, first of all, it's the first game on Amazon Prime that I'm looking forward to. And we're just like, I mean, where's Russell Wilson? Too bad he's not on. Oh, speaking of which, can I give you a quick aside?
Oh boy.
No, this is the football gods have answered my prayers. Not only somehow they figured out, the NFL scheduling gods, that not this Sunday, but the following Sunday, December, whatever it is, 11th, I guess, or whatever that Sunday is. For Sunday Night Football, they had Russell Wilson, Broncos, playing somebody else, and they said we can't with this guy another minute. So instead they put Miami at LA at the Chargers, with Tua and Herbert being the showcase. I mean, that's going to be a Sunday night
next weekend or something.
A week from Sunday, yeah. Okay, this Sunday, we'll talk about in a minute, is the other marquee game, which is we'll talk about that.
But. So it kicks off tonight. It kicks off tonight with the Bills and the Patriots. Listen, the Patriots again. Like the Patriots are one of those teams.
Let's predict the score. I'm going to say 24-22 Patriots.
I think if we're gonna win, it's gonna be it. I think if we're gonna win, it's going to be because our defense just shows up, and I think it's meaning that they can hold the Bills to under 20. I don't because I don't think we're gonna. I don't think we can score. I think you win.
I think you win by the field goal kicker doinks the ball off the goalpost.
Fine, I'll take
it. With time running out,
I'll take it.
And he's going to be the hero again, and the New England gods again. The winds blew perfectly.
I don't think we can score more than 21. The way it is right now. The way
I'm giving you 3 points because you had a good turnover or something.
I will say our offense looked against the Vikings. Our offense looked much better than. Mac Jones in particular looked much better than he has in the past.
He did. Mac Jones looked like an NFL quarterback. He looked like a quarterback.
He looked much better. I'm still not like.
I think honestly, the 12th man has to show up. I think the fans have to push the team to the next. I think the fans have to show up. And really scream.
So I think they can. I think they can win if they're going to. We got to hold them to 17, and I don't think we're going to get much more than 20, 21. So
it's not that far.
I'll go 20 to 17. I'll go right.
I'll say 24-22. Okay. Good. Right. So we have this on the record, and then when they lose 42-0, we know that we both were optimistic as usual.
I should have just predicted that they get blown out. I should have been.
And then be surprised, right? And then be surprised. All right, let's move on to the next
we got Sunday. Sunday we got 1:00 games. I'll go through my highlighted ones real quick. Jets Vikings. Just the Jets keep getting thrown into these like games to look forward to.
But the Vikings have to. I want the Vikings to every team that helps Miami. And I'm cheering for is their visiting team. So the Jets have to lose to the Vikings for our sake.
Here's what this game is to me. This game to me is both teams. To me, are not as good as they appear to be on paper. Right. So to me, this is like these are two teams that are still like you still have to prove to me that you guys are actually any good.
I agree.
And then we got Commanders Giants, and I got this Commanders. All of a sudden, no one's been paying attention.
We've been talking. Well, we have a little bit. We've been talking about them for
no one's
for
been
a few
paying
weeks.
attention, and they are 7-5, 7.
Yeah, 7-4 maybe.
They are right. They're
right
nipping
there.
on heels. They are above 500, and they're going. Not so fast. AFC.
Don't you forget
NFC,
about me. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm singing a song. I was trying to sing a song that didn't really. Please don't ever make me do that again.
No.
I'll tell you a quick story. When
We'll put that one as a highlight clip.
My coworkers asked me for 10 years, a decade, to please go with them to karaoke. I would never go because I cannot sing. And my brother's a great singer and everything, so I would never ever open my mouth to sing. So finally, they convinced me after enough tequila shots to go up there with my she's the publisher of the magazine I was the editor for, and we did this duet. I figured, who is the worst singer in the world? I said Sonny Bono, right? So Sonny and Cher, we said, "I Got You, Babe," and who can sing worse than Sonny Bono? Guess this guy. They asked me after 10 years of begging me to go with them to please never go with them again. It was really bad. It was really like to make Sonny Bono sound like George Michael or something. It was a really bad situation. Like I was like Bob Dylan meets Sonny Bono, like a Rolling Stone. Got you, babe. It was really bad. Anyway, I don't know why I went on this divergent tour of my karaoke skills
because you were singing and don't.
Oh yes, that's right.
I will be sure to splice that up as one of our teasers. Don't worry about it.
Oh no. Oh, it's gonna be a nightmare. Oh my gosh.
And then staying with the 1 o'clocks real quick. I got Titans Eagles just because they're like the
Titans. By the way, I want the Eagles to win, which I never do because the Titans, they're knocking on Miami's heels too for the number 2 seed.
Yep. And
the Chiefs are playing somebody interesting too, aren't they?
And then we have a very interesting one. I don't want to get into the personal side of this. I do want to get into the NFL side of this. We have the Browns Texans at 1 o'clock, and this is the return of Deshaun Watson. And what I mean by I don't want to get into
sorry, I'm warming up my massage oil. Sorry,
I don't want to get into the weeds of his whole personal situation and everything like that. What I
don't want to get into the weeds of his whole either. So.
What I find very interesting is that when the NFL, gave his final suspension, agreed upon his final suspension, they knew the schedule at that time, and they knew
created the schedule.
Well, I'm just saying he wasn't. It wasn't.
Right.
It didn't happen in like March, and then the schedule came out.
Right.
The schedule came out, and then they came down with the final suspension, and they knew that week 13 the Browns would be going to the Texans to play them, and it's just like I'm just like you grease balls. I'm like you greasy sons of bitches, man. Like
this year the Texans actually will get good eyeballs on them.
It's like incredible. But anyway, that's all. I had that one.
They're very subtle at the NFL. They're very subtle.
They're very subtle. They're very subtle. That's all I had list. That's the only reason I had that one down. Going on to the 4 o'clocks, 2 fantastic 4 o'clock games. RPF, I'll let you take the first one.
The first one is I've been talking about for a couple of weeks now. For more than that, is I think the first game that I think the country will start believing in Miami.
Okay.
If Miami can pull this off, it's Miami at San Francisco 49ers,
and
it's going to be with the Niners really healthy and really all guns blaring. And this is like the Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins coach, returning to San Francisco where he learned at the knee of the 49ers system, and really going to see. I will tell you, I think Miami does historically pretty well on the West Coast. Even with teams that were not that great, there's something about it that kind of we like the Pacific Ocean air. I don't know. I think this game, I've been excited about it because I think it's going to be these next 3 games. I'll put it quickly. We play at San Francisco. We play at the Chargers. We just talked about on Sunday Night Football against Herbert. And then without rest, we go from California game back to Miami, California game back to Miami, and then up to Buffalo. So 3 road games in a row, the 3 toughest games of the year, arguably. So they're back to back to back. So if ever there's a time that Miami can say to the league, hey, we're real, It's this. That's why I mean December, and then we our easy game. It's Christmas Day in Miami against Aaron Rodgers. So is that ever that easy?
Maybe.
Well, right, or Teddy
Love.
Bridgewater when he's traded to the Packers or whatever it is.
Yeah,
I'm saying, and then we do Patriots and Jets. So it's going to be this is the whole season right here. December 1st, the season starts anew for us.
Yeah.
For most teams, but this is really when it gets to be.
I know. I feel like I shouldn't say I know that. I feel like in the past, the Patriots, when they've had back-to-back West Coast games, they just stayed out there.
I think there's a whole discussion about it. I think McDaniel prefers it because he likes California. So I think it's just a matter of, I think there's a team vote or something. It's a lot of wear and tear to fly back and forth for no reason. I mean, you should stay out there. Just treat it like a 10-day trip and just go out. Like if you go to Europe, you don't go for one day, right? So
yeah.
Anyway, but it is San Francisco, LA, and then straight to Buffalo, which is that's a tough one.
Yeah,
so
you guys are gonna get all the sunshine and warm air for 2 weeks.
I think honestly it can go perfectly or badly, really badly.
And then you're going to walk into Buffalo.
I don't think there's a 2-1 split here. I think it's going to be, we're 8-3 now. We're going to come out of there 11-3, and people are going to go, whoa, number one rankings everywhere, NFL, scary team. Or 8-6 going, the Dolphins, maybe they'll get in. They'll have to sneak in, beat the Jets in the last game. So that's where I am right now, a ball of nerves and excitement, because I think now we're given, at least I've always wanted a chance to prove that the team is worthy. Now, on the road, national television, we're going to see if we are. So that's interesting. The second game is great too.
The second game in that 4:00 slot is the Chiefs Bengals. Which say no more.
And oddly, the Dolphin fans have to cheer for the Bengals, even though you think since they beat us that but their division. They're going to be a division leader, so they're not going to be affecting the ranking, the seeding for us. We could possibly, if we beat the 49ers and the Chiefs lose, we'll be the top seed in the AFC. Imagine that. I won't be able to handle it if that's the case. I'll just be like, can we stop the season right now, please? Right now.
I'll have to do the remaining podcast.
No, but knowing Miami, we'll beat everybody, and we'll be like 14, like 13-3, and then we'll get blown out by the Jets, and Tua will have a concussion. That's going to be, that's just how. I mean, this is how we're a fatalistic team all the time. Anyway,
and then the last one I have circled, like with the upside down smiley face emoji.
That's a frown, by the way.
What's that?
An upside down smile is a frown. In case you're wondering,
the whole face is upside down.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
I thought you meant just
is the Monday night game, which is Bucks. It's Bucks Saints, and it's two teams below 500, but with massive first place implications.
so wrong. It's so wrong. How are these teams even in contention? When meanwhile the Patriots will be in first place all over the NFC, by the way, except for the East. If the Patriots played in the NFC, you'd be like battling Seattle for the West Coast.
I guess in a way, admittedly, I think in a way, I think it's just karma payback for all those years we had the AFC East, and it was for all those years we had the Bills, Dolphins, and Jets, and all three of them were
terrible.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Listen. So I'm gonna end. Are we doing my
Yeah, let's get into RPF. Let's leave after we've circled the Bucks Saints as a game to watch.
No, you circled that. I had nothing to do with that one.
Let's move on. Let's get to some RPF right now.
The best thing about that game is that I'm sure they'll show a commercial for 80 for Brady, which arguably is going to be the best movie ever. It's 4 80-year-old women who are obsessed with Tom Brady, including Rita Moreno, Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, right? And who's the fourth? And somebody else.
Sure. I saw it real quick.
The trailer is so funny and it's so good. And at one point, and Gronk's in it, and of course all these players. And at one point, Jane Fonda says, or somebody says to Gronk, Rita Moreno says to Gronk, You're so big," and he says, "Thank you." It just makes me laugh.
Yeah,
because she's like 4'7".
I just can't wait to see Gronk in his big screen debut.
By the way, I predict this, and we're gonna laugh now, but I predict Gronk is gonna go like John Cena, The 100%. Rock. He's going to be a movie star.
Yeah,
because how could he not? He's
That's
so
an easy
comfortable.
one. Yeah, that's an easy one.
Okay, so RPF right now is two of them. They're familiar, but I'll say it again. Tua Tagovailoa. I can't even say his name. Tua Tagovailoa this is just one set of numbers that I want you guys of a sea of numbers that I've been getting, but this is the one that kind of struck me as relatable. He has 30 career starts. Okay, that's his last Sunday was his 30th career start.
Okay,
Tua has more passing yards than Tom Brady in his first 30 starts. He has fewer interceptions than Aaron Rodgers. He has more passing touchdowns than Joe Montana and a higher completion rate than Kurt Warner. So for people who don't think this guy deserves a little respect, and by the way, he's done nothing. His record the past 2 years is, as he starts, it's something like 16-2 or something. It's no one has won more games than Tua when he starts. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Okay, so moving off that, more shockingly, equally shocking. We've been talking about this, and I even convinced Jonah to watch Tulane football. The Tulane Green Wave, my new favorite, my new old favorite nickname for Tulane and for college. They're playing. Well, first of all, last Friday they played an incredible game. I don't know if you saw it, Jonah. The whole game. It was amazing.
I did not see the whole game.
They played Cincinnati.
Yeah,
Cincinnati was ranked we were 19, they were 22 or something. But this is an insane stat. This is the first time in 4 decades, 38 years, that Tulane has beaten an AP ranked team. No, the second longest streak was like 6 years or something. Every college at some point beats a team that's ranked. Tulane had the distinction for 38 years, never to have beaten a ranked team. This is unbelievable.
They did that.
The last time here's another punchline. The last time, no, they beat you, but it wasn't AP ranked.
Oh, UCF won. I'm sorry.
Right.
Okay.
UCF won, right?
Got it.
The last time they beat a ranked team was Cincinnati. Also, my sophomore year in college.
Oh my god!
That year we went 2-9 or something, but we beat
Cincinnati.
Literally, the entire Tulane campus went crazy. We went down to the French Quarter and vomited. After drinking, of course, not just vomiting spontaneously, but it was a very, very exciting. Anyway, 38 years ago. I mean, crazy. Okay, but this Friday, which is tomorrow, for your local yokels, we're playing against the team that beat us just 2 weeks ago, UCF, for the whole conference championship at Ullman Stadium at Tulane. So if Tulane wins that game, which by the way they only lost by 6 points at the last time they played, and they weren't at home. If they beat that team, not only will it be the second team that's ranked back to back that we beat, we go to the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. I mean, I was thinking we're going to go to like the Spam Bowl in Boise, Idaho or something, which could be what we do if we do lose the game. But if we win, we're going to go to one of those games that I watched as a kid, like between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
These games were like the Sun Bowl and the Cotton Bowl and, the Fiesta Bowl and all that stuff. Oh my God. So anyway, I cannot even process that right now. So anyway, so Tulane is playing tomorrow, and tonight we need the Patriots to win tonight on Prime, and we need the Tulane Green Wave to beat the UCF team tomorrow. Okay, that's my right now.
Okay, fantastic. Go green. Go Gumby Wave.
Go Gumby Wave. Green Wave, baby. Roll wave. All
right.
Roll wave.
Let's finish off with our what I wish had or hadn't happened this past week. I'll start. I've already mentioned it. And I mentioned how it ripped my heart out. I really wish that I can't even pronounce his name, so I won't even try. But the gentleman from the Vikings hadn't returned a kickoff for 97 yards immediately following our go-ahead touchdown to start the third quarter of the game. I'm not saying that we would have won the game if it hadn't happened, but I was just it was honestly RPF, like it at the moment, it felt like this is one of those situations where, given the gravity of the whole season and everything, it was like, oh shit, like, we've been so optimistic and like
the one thing it couldn't happen happened.
The one thing that couldn't happen happened, and like, does that?
By the way, but the karmic gods though, because the week before you won the game the same way, at the last minute,
Yeah, but
against the Jets,
but that was against the Jets.
I'm just, no, I'm just saying, but but the Jet fans, the one thing that could happen happened. We lost the game, So
yeah.
Well, I mean,
yeah. I mean, if you want to get into that game, I would argue that our defense won against the Jets. They won. Our defense won that.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
What I really wish hadn't happened is just it was even just the fact that it was a 97-yard touchdown kickoff return. Like I would have been better if they drove 97 yards and like scored a touchdown. I would have been like, shit, that was a hell of a drive. Like, hats off to you. Great win. Like.
Anyway. There's two things from mine. I mean, what I wish had happened. That I mentioned them also earlier. The draw against Wales and England. I mean, I just think besides the actual game, the match being, I mean, if it was just based on performance without with an opportunity, we should have beaten Wales 2-0 or 2-1 or 3-1. We should have beaten England at least 1-0. So it would have been. I'm just thinking. Imagine the fever pitch of enthusiasm in this country right now. It's exciting now. For most people, a lot of people are paying attention more and more. But it's going to take now the Netherlands for us to beat the Netherlands for the average person to pay attention, really. So imagine that would have been that intense already if we had beaten England, right? That would have been like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden we beat Iran, which what's more American than that? Beat Iran, right? and then beat the Netherlands, the Orange Crush people, and then all of a sudden we're in the round of playing France and Germany, and so that I'm just thinking the popularity spike would have been that much better, that much higher. And the other thing I want to say quickly is that I had something to say. Oh, that not in season, but this month off from pro tennis when the tournament's over and they're all resting until the new year itself when they all go to Australia for the first Grand Slam. They Rafa Nadal and Casper Ruud, who's the number 3 player in the world. Casper Ruud is number 3 and Nadal's 2 this year. Mm-hmm. They agreed to go on this like exhibition tour of South America. And for Nadal, who hasn't been there in 20 years, all of a sudden he's playing these exhibition matches and he's playing full out tennis, with Ruud. Yeah. And he's in Argentina and Chile and Colombia, Mexico and Venezuela. It's been this like, it's almost like the Pope coming to this country. You should see all these videos of people are just screaming and just
cool.
20,000 people like lining the streets as he drives by to go to the stadium. It's like this, to me, that's like Nadal is, he's from Spain and that's like the mother country for all of Latin America. And so for, although it's a European country, but it's, it was,
gotcha.
The birthplace of all, begat everything else. Anyway, I just think that Nadal for doing that, I'm sure he got compensated a lot of money, but for his time off to be spent doing that, if that meant so much to so many people, I thought that was another moment that shows who he really is, a class act.
Sure.
I want to leave on an inspirational note. So.
Okay. I think there's a lot, there's a lot to sort of the maturity of any athlete, and you start to get to the end of your career and you start to realize that this isn't really so much about you. It's about, the legacy and the impact you leave behind. And I'm guessing that by going to these, part of this, if not most of it, part of this is going to these countries to help, to put a spark into some other 6-year-old's eye, or,
correct. Exactly.
To sort of pass the spark.
No, he played points with ball boys that were chosen at random, and people were like, like Nadal's like this figure, it's like
they're starstruck. He serves it, it hits him in the throat because they can't move.
Exactly. Well, they're paralyzed forever. Well, that's a different podcast. Thank you. Listen, this has been a fun one.
Yeah.
So by next week we're either Team USA's kicking ass in Qatar. We have the Patriots back in contention again, and we have the Dolphins being real, and we have that's it. Or we could be in the depths of despair and we crash back to earth when the young team in and Carter realizes that they can't play soccer at that level. When the Patriots realize they had the quarterback is like suspect, and the Dolphins say, "Oh, right, we're not that good." We're the Dolphins.
You know what could be scary. You know what could be scary is if our team is so young that now we get to this round, right? We're like, okay, these guys are for real. Is that like I remember when I went to private school to play hockey, and I was a walk on, and so for reference, the private school hockey players, all my teammates went on to like Division I, like Boston University, Boston College,
Minnesota, whatever.
Yeah, Michigan, and I was like, I can play, and I remember getting on the ice for the first time, and I remember my first shift. It was just a pickup game, just a little scrimmage. My first shift, I just went, holy shit, these guys are fast.
That's what happens when the college any college football player, when they go to the NFL, the first practice they go, "Whoa, the guy's twice the size of my team."
Yeah. So hopefully we don't run into that scenario if we find ourselves up against like a France. Or
I don't know. I think soccer players are so cocky. I think they live in a vacuum.
It's different. It's different. Listen, I was a teenager. I was like 16
By the way,
years
every
old.
soccer player should really become actors because all they do is flop all over the field. So I think that's really, or at least a stuntman or something.
I did spend more time yelling "Get up" at the TV than I did like cheering for a goal or anything. I was like, "Get up!"
Tough Love by Jonah Bayless. Get up, you 4-year-old! Get up! All right, listen. Please be kind when you do these little promotional videos. I'm just alarmed now that you're like already plotting this. Oh my god!
All
Exactly.
right, listen. We're running out of time. We're starting to speak gibberish.
Starting.
Right. Thank you so much for listening. You can find us anywhere you listen to your podcast. We are on Apple, Spotify, Podbean. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter, as well as our dedicated YouTube channel, Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF. Thank you so much, RPF. It was a great week. It's going to be a better week. I'll see you next time.
Team USA, baby. All right. See you next week.
USA.